and bans all over again. This is still game number 1. No one is up in games. We are restarting the entire game all over just because they were pretty far along in the game. We are going to be doing new picks and new bans. So very interestingly enough, though, we see quite similar bans to what we had last time, now don't we, Sala?
Hello, folks. Thanks for sticking around and waiting with us. If you've been waiting out the full 2 hours, so thanks for sticking around with us all this time. If you're just joining us, we're glad to have you here. The bans are almost identical to what they were the last game. The only difference that I see is that MonoManiac banned Karthus, whereas Karthus was picked last game. Other than that, the bans appear to be identical. I can't remember who they banned in place of Karthus last game. I can actually go ahead and check. I do have
Oh,
that.
actually, they banned out Alistar, and Alistar was
Yes, yes.
immediately snatched up because of that by Curse.
Yes, exactly it. And we know that Alistar is very popular as a jungler and also as a support. In particular, Elements really likes playing a support Alistar. We'll see whether they go with that or whether they go with the jungle Alistar. But yes, that's exactly it. Alistar was banned last game. He was not banned this time. And Curse goes ahead and first picks Alistar for exactly that reason.
Meanwhile, we do have other picks on the side of Monomaniac. They are actually going to wind up picking Janna again, and now this time they are going to be ones housing Nocturne as opposed to Curse last game. Interestingly enough, we saw Saint Vicious decide to pick up a Vampiric Scepter on Nocturne at the beginning, and he actually had to go back after picking up Golem. So now we have a little bit of new picks and bans going on. We're going to see if Monomaniac plays Nocturne in an interestingly enough kind of risky way with the Vampiric Scepter if they're going to go for a more standard start with Cloth 5 or Boots 3 on him. But they are once again favoring that support Janna in this matchup.
I would expect to see the Boots 3 pots. I mean, we'll see, but that's just very standard. One thing that this tells us is that the two teams value the same champions very similarly because we see Nocturne was first picked by Curse in our game that got interrupted by that DDoS attack. In this game, Nocturne is first picked by Mono, so we see the exact same champions being valued by both teams. Instead, Curse is going to go ahead and looks like they're going to pick up Nautilus as their jungler, so that it does indicate that it's almost certainly going to be a support Alistar with Elements playing support Alistar, and then Nijaki picking up Morgana here as his mid choice. It's a little interesting there because oftentimes the teams like to try to pick that mid last. Now, Curse does not have the opportunity to counterpick mid because they do have first pick. That means that Mono gets last pick. So they're just going to go ahead and break out the Morgana pick right here. Nijak, he does play a pretty mean Morgana, so we'll see where that goes. But at this point, the teams are diverging, and it looks like we're going to have a very different lineup now from what we saw in that aborted first game.
Yes, indeed. Morgana being picked as a mid champion is not necessarily a terrible thing. She's a very relative safe choice, and she can be very, very good in many matchups in the mid lane. But I don't know about you, Sulla. I think we're being trolled here. If not, I'm going to be extremely excited. Is Monomaniac going to pick up a Heimerdinger? Nope, no, they're not going to. They're actually going to switch that at the last second and pick up a middle Cassiopeia choice, which actually Cassiopeia has seen a little bit of decline in tournament play. So I'm pretty excited to actually see her being picked up here and once again going for their AD character with Graves.
She isn't picked as much anymore because she was hit with a lot of nerfs in different patches. She was super popular for ages and ages, but she did get that nerf ban, and that was hit with it. I think the logic here is that Cassiopeia does have the damage to get through the Morgana Black Shield, break it real fast if she can land her poison and then start landing Twin Fangs over and over again. I also would have been really excited if we had seen Heimerdinger. I don't think I've ever seen anyone other than Dan Din play Heimerdinger in competitive play, at least not since 2010. So would have been fun, but you were indeed correct. They having a little bit of fun there on Monospark. They going with the more standard Cassiopeia pick. Then it looks like we do have Graves as the other AD pick in that game that we weren't able to finish. Unfortunately, it was Graves Janna for Mono. It looks like they want to go with that again. They did actually get first blood with Graves Janna in that match that we weren't able to finish. So that is going to be the same lane again. And then over on Curse's side, we're going to have Corki and Akali.
Ooh, this is very interesting. Vladimir has been banned out, and normally when players are going to be picking Akali nowadays, it's going to be to try to counteract against the Vladimir in top lane. I don't think we've seen Akali play too much in other matchups, but we do know how deadly Westrace can be with that solo top Akali. So that is going to be a very exciting lane to see no matter what is going to be going on. And now, as you mentioned, Cop picking up Corki in the bottom lane. Corki is a very, very good AD carry champion. We've seen him played a lot recently in tournament play. He, of course, has a passive that will be dealing a percent damage of true damage to his attacks. In addition to this, his Gatling gun is going to be shredding armor down. He has Valkyrie and able to go in or out of sticky situations, and with that Alistar in the bottom lane, it's going to be a very, very aggressive lane from Curse once again this game.
Definitely. Alistar, Quirky, very aggressive lane. Get the initiation from Alistar, as you said. Quirky goes in, uses his burst, uses his Gatling gun. So that is definitely a lane with some kill potential. The Akali pick, again, Westrice is the only one who really plays Akali. He's known for his Akali play. He's like the most famous Akali player on the North American ladder. So that is why we're seeing that right there. And then Mono has gone with a sort of a standard, fairly safe choice with their own top lane pick, picking Aurelia there. We saw that in that first game that we weren't able to finish because of all the disconnects as well. They picked Aurelia in that top lane for Hazard, and he was actually ahead in that particular top lane when we had that game broken off due to a couple of jungle ganks in that game. But it looked like it was working well for them in that first match, and it looks like they're going to try their hand at that again. So we'll see how it goes. Aurelia against Akali. Feels like Aurelia probably should win that matchup early on, but then again, this isn't just any Akali. This is Westrice's Akali, so it might go very differently. We'll just have to wait and see. But we do have the matchup set, and now it's just a matter of waiting out this 3-minute delay until we get started.
Yes, indeed. Now, the interesting thing is we did have Aurelia against Kale on the top lane for the matchup that we couldn't finish. And as you said, Hazard was having basically a heyday up there against Westrice on his Kale. There was very early ganks that set Kale far behind in the lane. Are we going to be able to see the same kind of thing coming out from Lexvink playing Nocturne now? And is it going to be enough to set that very, very damaging and way, way powerful Westrice Akali out of control? Or is Westrice's Akali going to be better equipped to deal with this one? Now, this is a very interesting situation overall because MonoManiac did have the option to either stay with the same champions or go for a complete repick and ban of the first game. They did obviously opt to go for new picks and bans overall because a lot of their strategies were given away, even though it was unfortunately not enough lead to give them a one-game advantage. They were basically 10 minutes into the game, and so a lot of their early ganks and a lot of strategies were revealed right there. So are we going to see Curse adapting to this? Because they did have the same 3 bans from last game, forcing Hazard out of 3 potential top lane champions he's been practicing with, and then going into the one character that basically the one remaining character that he probably knows how to play in that Aurelia. So are they going to be adjusting to this, or is MonoManiac going to be able to bounce back from this and with new champions and a new game and everything really come and just surprise Curse even more? I guess only time's going to tell for this one.
Right, as you said, Tom. What we saw in that first match was Lexvink, the jungler for Team Mono, was putting a lot of pressure on lanes. He was playing as jungle Maokai in that game that we didn't end up finishing. He went top lane. He started at blue. He got blue with his help from his team, saved smite, then immediately went to red, used his smite on red. He got level 3 off of that and then went top lane. And it seemed like the timing of that threw off Westrice just a little bit. He did a nice job of avoiding dying. He did not die to that gank, but he did get put pretty far behind. He had to burn his flash. He had to back at the base. And so he was put behind in that lane, and Mono was doing a pretty nice job of pulling ahead in that particular top lane. They were ahead by about 20 to 25 minion kills, and then later on in that match we saw Lex go to the bottom lane, and he actually was able to get first blood in that match. So it was really a shame. It was turning into a pretty interesting match between the two of them. But again, Curse completely unable to play, not able to hold on to their internet connection. So really nothing they could do, and forced a restart here. But it looks like we're going to have an interesting match here as well. We have aggressive junglers on both sides. Both of these junglers, Nocturne and Nautilus, and I'm sure I'm going to get that confused as we go through this game at some point in time. The names are so similar. Both of them are likely going to try to farm early on. Nautilus has a little bit more pressure in the early game, but mostly they're both going to try to farm up their junglers. They're going to try to get to level 6, and then their ganks are going to become incredibly powerful once they get their ultimates at level 6. So likely we will see plenty of action all over the map in this game because there's a lot of kill potential in all of these different lanes here.
And like you said before, you're going to be mixing up Nocturne and Nautilus. I'm going to be mixing up Vile Rose and Vile Ooze, so it'll be a very interesting match no matter what's going to happen. And as you did mention before, we saw MonoManiac favoring that top lane extremely, extremely heavily. Now with Nijaki on a different character in Morgana, not necessarily one that's going to do a lot after she's dead. We're going to have to see if the focus is going to stay in that top lane or if it's going to be kind of shifted more into that middle game matchup. But as the spectator lane does wind down, only time will tell as we are going to finally get underway with game number 1 of Curse Gaming North America going up against MonoManiac Esports in a very, very exciting best of 3 potentially series for the IPL Face Off qualifiers. Now, for you ladies and gentlemen that don't know what the Face Off qualifiers are and thinking this is for the IPL 5 qualifiers, not quite. It's a little bit of a different tournament. The IPL Face Off Team Arena Challenge that was for the StarCraft 2 tournament also has a League of Legends section being added. The tournament is going to be, I believe, later on this month over in San Francisco. The top 4 teams of this tournament will qualify for that. They will be playing out for, of course, prizes and seeding choices, etc., etc. But then also going out to San Francisco in order to face off in the IPL Face Off Challenge San Francisco for over $40,000 worth of prizes. In addition to these 2 teams, Curse and MonoManiac, we have many other teams in the tournament, such as Fortnite, Dignitas, CLG Gaming, Team Legion, and Team Orbit, as well as Ordnance Gaming, among many, many other top teams. I believe TSM Evo is the only one I haven't mentioned right now. So it's a very cutthroat bracket, very cutthroat tournament we have right here, and some pretty awesome prizes for the winner. So guys, we are in the game right now. We see Team Curse is going to be the blue side, whereas MonoManiac is going to be the red or purple side over here. And immediately MonoManiac pinging their own side of the map, telling their team to spread out at the line of scrimmage across the river, Sola.
Yes, one neat thing is because we are on the normal client and not the tournament realm, that means players are on their normal accounts, and we see some interesting skins. I noticed that Elements has that black Alistar skin, which I believe you had to be, in the beta, I think, in order to get that skin, something along those lines. I believe that that's what it is, so that's one of the fun things. We actually don't get to see this on tournament realm. One other point that's very important, Curse has a godly level 1 team right now with Morgana, Alistar, and Nautilus. They are much, much stronger in a level 1 fight right here, so they are looking to fight. Mono is looking to play defensively here right now. If there's a level 1 fight, Curse will very likely be able to win this one. That's one reason why they're invading so aggressively here right now. They have double stuns. They have Morgana's Binding, Alistar's Pulverize. They have Nautilus. His St. Vicious hasn't picked anything, but he can grab his dredge line if he sees anything. So that's why they went ahead and invaded. Both teams have gone ahead and warded that blue buff over on Mono's side of the map. So I don't know if we're going to see any action, but Curse will definitely be looking to force the action here because of their advantage in this level 1 fight.
Yeah, last game they were decided not to be as aggressive as they are going for this game. This game they immediately went to the opponent's side of the map, warded that blue buff, and then are going to go back to their own. Look at Nightjackie and Cop just making sure they check all the bushes with both of your Q spells. The Phosphorus Bomb and the Dark Binding going to be really great. Catching any champions that are going to be in their own side of the river. Of course, they didn't see anybody on MonoManiac side, so they are going to be playing a little bit cautious. But despite so much stuff, wards and action going down at level 1, both junglers are going to get started pretty standard. Nocturne is going to be going for an early red buff and then going towards that blue buff. Meanwhile, St. Vicious' Nautilus in the jungle is going to start at Wolves and go for a blue buff. We're just going to have to see, are they going to try to contest that blue buff after the blue buff of their own has been taken, or are they just going to let it go and just kind of try to keep tags where Nocturne is in the jungle?
Yeah, we will have to see if there's any action over at that blue for Mono, since both teams do have it warded. So the fact that Curse had the stronger level 1 is, wow, unfortunately the Lizard did reset there, so Lexvink getting set a little bit behind. Because of the level 1 advantage for Curse, that did force the action here. Normally, Nocturne likes to start at blue because of the fact that they knew that Curse would be invading. They weren't able to do that, and we actually have a 3-man gank coming in here top right now. So let's see if Hazard's going to be able to dodge this one, but he might be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, actually, Element's not even going bottom lane yet. They must know that Alistar is missing. He's going to go with a flash and pulverize, but ooh, Hazard responding with his own flash right there. That is not only a summoner burn from the Alistar, but he's spending so much time away from his bottom lane right now. Corki's not necessarily in his happy place down there, as Patoy and Don't Mash are doing a really great job of just really zoning him out right now from basically experience as well as CS. As we see, Gray's actually only a couple CS to Corki's 9, so actually just doing a little bit more zoning than actually denial of CS right there. So even though Alistar hasn't been in the bot lane, it looks like Kop's doing an okay job by himself right there, but he is going to want Alistar on his support to help out in just a little bit. Meanwhile, we do see St. Vicious walking through the mid lane, but not too much going on. Nocturne on the other side has had to go back after that red buff did reset on him. He is going to wind up picking up, it looks like a cloth armor on top of this, and we could potentially see him going for that blue buff. This is really interesting because Curse warding that blue buff probably expected Nocturne to go there right after the red buff, or at least pick up Wolves or something on the way, but now that he's not showing up there, they're probably a little bit confused.
They might be. They probably figured that he did have to go back. Just again, that level 1 pressure has definitely slowed down. Nocturne's jungling. He had to back earlier than he wanted to. It was a really nice flash by Hazard, the Aurelia player. That was just that professional reflex timing right there. He saw the pulverize coming in. He flashed out of it. Curse has not given up on this, though. They are still looking to gank him up in top lane. So we do see Nautilus still hanging around. And it looks like St. Vicious is going in right now.
There's a slow from the Shroud from Macaulay. He's going to try to go in there, but a nice stun from the Equilibrium Strike. Dredge line does land as well as Staggering Blow, but Hazard is pretty close to his own tower, so really is going to side that top lane gank. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, though, we do see, looks like Lexvink is going to get spotted by a ward, so any aggression from there is going to be be halted, potentially thwarted, but at least halted for now, as he is going to go back. Did pick up his own blue buff right there. Wards by that blue buff have expired, so I didn't get a chance to see if both sides knew he was taking it or not, or if Curse is still in the dark as to where Nocturne's blue buff is. But he is actually going to be moving in for a little bit of counter jungling here. He did note that Nautilus was up top. Cassiopeia potentially wanted to go in there and take some of those Wraiths as well. Nautilus is going to come over here and see Lexfink there, but a Wraith takes the dredge line for him. Actually, no binding or pool going. Actually, the pool was actually spell shielded there by Lexfink. The binding did not, unfortunately, hit him either. I think one of the Wraiths potentially got that as well, but spell shields from Nocturne.
The Wraiths blocked the dredge line that Nautilus shot out. It was blocked by the dredge line, got blocked, and then I think the binding either missed or got spell shielded there. We have some really nice micro right now from Mono, both in top lane by Hazard and there by Lexfink. So some really nice play coming out from both of them.
Yes, indeed. So a very successful jungle invade for MonoManiac does steal the race away from Nautilus. Nautilus is going to have to go down here and just contend with these golems instead. So we do have a lot of excitement going on. Not too much action, not too many kills going on once again, like the first game. But we did have a very nice first blood in the last one, so we can only hope for something along the lines of that. Once again, Westray's doing this interesting thing with his top lane where he decides to go around the river and see potentially if he could place down a ward, which he does have in his inventory now. And he does for the second time in a row find that Lexfink was trying to come up in the top lane for at least a little bit of a gank, so he's going to be safe from that one.
He did a nice job of dodging that. He fortunately spotted Lexfink right when Lex came up there to top lane. I've been probably most impressed by Hazard, though. The Curse has been devoting a ton of time and effort to trying to kill Aurelia up there in top lane. They had Alistar up there initially. Nautilus has been up there twice. So they're really putting a lot of effort into wanting to shut down Aurelia, and so far it hasn't happened yet. So some really nice play there. Elsewhere on the map, it's pretty much even thus far. There's not a major advantage anywhere. Corki is slightly ahead down in bottom lane, which is also a pretty nice play on Cop's part, since Elements has been out of lane quite a bit, and Cop is actually still winning that matchup. But it's pretty even all across the map right now. There's basically no difference in global gold. It's like 100 gold, which is not really significant in any way. So it's an even match thus far. There haven't been any kills, but there have been some nice attempts, particularly by Curse. They just haven't worked out yet. But one thing that we will be seeing is the two junglers are going to be getting close to 6 relatively soon, and once that happens, their ganking power will increase a lot. So it's probably just a matter of time until we see first blood here on one side or the other.
Yes, indeed. We do have a Nocturne hanging over by bot lane, so we could potentially have Lexfink coming in for a gank. There is an Elements recalling in a bush. They have that bush warded, so they know that he's not going to be staying there for very long. This could be the signal for Nocturne to go, and Nocturne's actually just going to recall himself, so no aggression coming out of there. Looks like there's an ultimate from Nijaki in mid lane. St. Vicious very far away, though, is going to get a dredge line. Cassiopeia pops her paralyzing gaze, and that is a first blood. Sulla, you must be a mind reader. Either that or a little bit ahead of me, because you predicted first blood popping up soon, and it is going to go towards Curse right there with a very nice kill in the mid lane.
That fight was baited by Nijaki. He made it look like a bad fight. He baited that one out, and Vile Rose committed to the fight in mid. As soon as he committed to that fight, St. Vicious jumped in, and all of a sudden it wasn't a 1v1, it was a 2v1. So very nicely played. Nijaki just playing a little bit of a mind game right there and allowing to come out on top. So Curse takes first blood in this game, and we'll see what kind of an advantage they can get mid. No, actually, the kill did go on to St. Vicious, although that's not necessarily the worst thing. He is actually a little bit behind the other jungler because he's been spending a lot of time ganking, not as much time farming in the jungle. So that first blood actually will help him out quite a bit, because, like I said, he can really benefit from the gold and the experience. If you look at the minion count, Nocturne's at 42 to only 26 for Nautilus, so he really does need that kill just to keep pace.
And we do see a lot of aggression on top lane. Westrace going in onto X-Hazard, but Nocturne was close enough in order to get his ultimate off. There is going to be a fear. Westrace looks to be in a little bit of trouble. X-Hazard actually going to try to blade surge to minions to try to catch up here. Not going to happen, so Westrace is going to live to see another day, but a nice gank coming in from the top lane from Nocturne. Even if Westrace, I don't even know if he could stick around. He does have a couple health potions. His name X-Hazard is very, very low, despite having those double no magic mantle to try to combat the AP damage from Akali right now. But still, a very nice gank in top lane from Nocturne. Didn't work out quite as well as the gank in mid did for Curse, but still giving his Aurelia a little bit of breathing room against this aggressive Akali nature. Actually going back in right there. Looks like Aurelia's going to pop the ultimate. Akali's popping the Shroud down there. Both champions extremely, extremely low. X-Hazard is going to sustain with the Heaton Strike off some minions. Akali decides to go back in with her ultimate. Flash is there as well, and another auto attack will take down X-Hazard. So X-Hazard thought he had a pretty decent fight there against Akali, but Akali a lot more burst than Aurelia will have, especially at these lower levels, being able to run in there and take down X-Hazard in a nice little clean 1v1 fight, since they were about the same health, Sala.
I'm not sure that X-Hazard should have picked that fight, and I realize it's very easy to say that after he loses it, in retrospect. However, he didn't have any mana at the time, and Aurelia, of course, is a manaless champ, so not sure that that was the best time to go in and fight without having any real mana there. Oh, wow, almost the blue steal from Nijaki right there. Did not get it. Was actually blocked by the small lizard at the blue buff. Curse actually has almost all of Mono's jungle on the south side completely warded up. So it looked like we might have had a really big fight there, but as it turned out, did not end up happening. They did have it worded they were thinking about going in, but as it turns out, decided not to. Meanwhile, down in bottom lane, we still really haven't seen too much of a difference. Again, Corki has that slight lead, but it's not too significant. He's about 10 minion kills ahead, but that's not really that huge of a deal. It's pretty much even right now. So far, the action has all been mid and top lane, where it looks like Curse has pulled out to a fairly decent lead for this early in the game. They're about 2,000 gold ahead, and again, that difference right now is in mid and also in top lane, where they pulled out ahead. But it's still very even. We still haven't seen... Oh, we actually did see Dragon go down.
Uh-oh. We have 3 people in the meantime catching Vile Rose over by his own rates, trying to take them over the wall. Akali coming out from top lane, Nautilus coming from the jungle, and lots of damage coming out. We'll pick up a kill. Meanwhile, in bot lane, we do see Cop is going to fall here. A little bit of aggression here from Graze and Janna. Will pick up a very clean kill on him. I believe Elements was out warding. Is that what was happening? I was kind of focused on the mid lane, so I didn't see. I just saw on the bottom lane when Corki was extremely low.
I didn't see quite how that fight got started either. It looked like they just were able to use Graves' full burst combo. I see the Ignite and the ult off cooldown. Meanwhile, there's a top going on in top lane. Westrice tries to Shadow Dance away, not able to get out. So there is that Nocturne ultimate being used to good effect right there. And those 2 kills really helping out Mono quite a bit. They were down 3-0 in kills, but they're able to pick up 2 kills, 1 in bottom and then 1 in top. And that's particularly going to help them up there in top lane. They really do not want Akali to be snowballing too far ahead, so that's going to help them out quite a bit right here, and there's a lot of minions going to be denied on this tower. We actually did have Dragon taken by one of the teams. I believe it was taken by Curse because of their gold advantage. I actually did not see that happening live. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, Tom.
I didn't exactly see them take it. I think at the same time they're going in and very aggressively warding up the blue buff. Since they had 3 or 4 members of the team down there, it's potentially when it went down in the first place. Unfortunately, you know, there was a lot of stuff going up top. Didn't really get a chance to catch that one solo, but judging by the gold intake, like you said, Curse Gaming with a Dragon and a kill ahead of MonoManiac has a little bit of a slight gold advantage lead. It's about 1.5k. It's a lead, but it's not necessarily the greatest lead in the world for MonoManiac to try to overcome. But like you said, those 2 kills really keeping them in it right now. Because of that Dragon going to Curse, they could have had a potentially large gold advantage, but 2 kills coming back-to-back for MonoManiac, really keeping them in this game. Like you said, they are going in locations that they really need. That bot lane is going to have an advantage right now, which is one of the lanes that Curse does not have an advantage in, and keeping that Akali from snowballing into the very, very late game terror that she can be is going to be a goal of MonoManiac this game. And of course, having Westrice on Akali is always going to be extremely intimidating no matter what. We do see X-Hazard picked up a pink ward in the meantime, putting it directly in the middle of the lane. So now even if Westrice is going to try to Twilight Shroud to get out of there, he is going to be able to be spotted and could potentially be tagged by Fear or Nocturne ultimate, as Nocturne is once again coming in through the bushes for a potential lane gank over here in top lane.
Yeah, we have ganks in top and mid being set up right now. The Nautilus is now breaking back up to top, so it looks like the action is going to come in top next.
Westrice very well. I guess he acknowledges the fact that Nocturne may be over here since the nature of Aurelia's play is using that bush constantly to deny vision. Now Nautilus coming around. They are going to get a gank down onto the Hazard, but Zexfink is going to come in as well. Depth charge goes off. Aurelia already behind the tower. It looks to me no net worth on anything. It would have been completely different if Nocturne was not waiting in the bushes over there, but because he was there, he is able to stave off his top lane. Unfortunately, MonoManiac's gank is not going to go the way they wanted to, kind of getting counter ganked at the same exact time, and pretty much nothing but even. Aurelia is going to have to go back in this one, but Nocturne is sticking around to basically stave off any extra creeps that will be going against the tower. So pretty much nothing gained or lost in that top lane gank there.
Just the flash on Aurelia. It was a nice flash. I think it would have been a kill if Hazard had not flashed back right there. So pretty nicely played. Again, both teams with the same idea, looking to get a kill in top lane. Doesn't quite work out. Right now, Curse's biggest advantage is in mid. They actually have a pretty decent lead right now in middle lane. Nijaki's ahead by about 20, close to 20 minion kills. He also does have 2 assists. It's a little unfortunate for him he doesn't have 2 kills, that he only has the 2 assists, but that's the lane where Curse is furthest ahead right now. If you actually look at bottom lane, the 2 ADs in bottom lane have exactly the same items. They both have Berserker Greaves, 2 Doran's Blades, and a pickaxe. And I guess there's a couple health pots on, don't mash me, but they literally have the exact same items. So that's about as close as it can possibly be. Other than that, the biggest difference is, like we said, it's in middle lane, And then it's also in, I guess it's in top lane. Top's closer. It's more middle lane than anything else right now, where Curse has built their edge. That, and as we said, they did get that one dragon. So we will see that dragon will be up in about 1 to 2 minutes. So we will see that action again. And we'll see where the junglers choose to go to make that play. Nocturne ultimate is back up again, so we'll see that it looks as though Mono will likely be trying to make a play with that ult. And now both junglers are hanging around mid once again.
We do see a flash coming out for Nijak, but no ultimate or anything is going to be used. St. Vicious does come out of the jungle, and Vile Rose is just going to walk away. We did see Morgana trying to steal the rates away from both Nocturne and Cassiopeia, so that, like you said, does just speak testament to how much ahead Nijaki is in his lane right now. He does have blue buff, whereas Cassiopeia does not right now, so that is also going to be a huge factor in the mid lane, as Morgana is going to have a little bit more sustain and a lot more spell spam ability. We do see right here Vile Rose is going to be picking up the blue buff from Lexving, so she's going to be Cassiopeia is going to be on a little bit more even footing with Morgana in that mid lane. But, you know, aside from the lead we already talked about that Curse has right there, being able to keep up in spell spam and just kind of try to combat any aggression Morgana is going to have, as well as trying to push back the creeps over there. Bottom lane, like you said, not too much is different down here. Graze and Corgi keeping pretty much similar gold totals. Perhaps a health potion or two extra on Don't Match Me is the real differential over there. And then top lane, we keep seeing Aurelia and Akali kind of button heads with each other. Both champions deciding to go back and forth, pushing a lane and recalling. The other one pushes a lane and recalls. And we do have Aurelia actually picking up a Wit's End right here as well. Meanwhile, middle lane over here, we did see Cassiopeia getting taken down by Nijaki, going through the ultimate and a full rotation of spells, just enough to take down Cassiopeia. It looked like kind of caught Cassiopeia trying to come over to meet up with the rest of her team as Curse was going to contest this dragon, Sulla.
That's exactly what happened. Nijaki caught the mid player Vile Rose and then just used his full combo with the ultimate, with the binding, with the ignite, with the pool, and that was enough to finish off Cass. Vile Rose did get his ult off, but it wasn't enough damage, and that's going to turn into another dragon for Team Curse. So that a kill like that, once that happens, you really can't contest the dragon. Not if you're slightly behind like that. So pretty significant play. St. Vicious also does have an Oracle on Nautilus. He was clearing out all the wards at dragon, so that's a pretty big play for Curse, because they not only get the kill in mid with Nijaki snowballing further ahead, and like we said, he was already a little bit ahead in that lane to begin with, but they also get the dragon, and now that mid tower is very low, and Nijaki's creeps will probably take this on this wave and the next one, so that's going to be a further gold advantage for Curse. And we've seen this before when we've done games with Curse. They often try to snowball off of that middle lane. If Nijaki can get ahead, he just becomes super strong, and he's one of those players who can easily carry a game on his own. So we will see where it goes from here, but right now Curse is in pretty good shape. They are in, they don't have, it's certainly not too much to come back from by any means. It's only a 3,000 gold lead, but they definitely are ahead, and they have to be feeling pretty comfortable about their chances right now.
Yeah, indeed. We do see the items. Meanwhile, we saw Morgana on the screen picking up an Abyssal Scepter, so she's going to have even more defenses to really boss Cassiopeia around. Nocturne, now I'm the one mixing up the junglers here. Nocturne's going to have to put a little more aggression on Nijaki right now, because he just really feels relatively uncontested in that mid lane. Buying the Abyssal Scepter is, like I said, going to give him ridiculous defenses against Cassiopeia. And in addition to that, that tower being super low enough for minions to knock down, that's going to let Nijaki come up here for a gank. We see Westrace going in onto X-Hazard. There's the Black Shield and the ultimate. Looks like Nocturne's going to try to deny a little bit of vision and go on to Akali in this one. It will let Nijaki pick up a kill on Aurelia. Nocturne's going to try to kick down Westrace, but keep using that Shadow Dash to dance around the minions. Fear does go off. So does Dark Binding, but it won't be enough to actually stop Nocturne from coming in and picking up a kill. Cassiopeia as well coming up from the mid lane will force Nijaki to halt any aggression right here. So trading 1-for-1 in that exchange. Aurelia and Akali, both top laners, are following that exchange. And now both mid lanes decide to rotate top after that fight.
Yeah, 1-for-1, it's not really that bad of a fight for Curse, though. You can see they are going to get middle tower right here as it goes down. The other thing is they did get the kill on Akali, and Akali's one of those champs where, because you want her to get as much gold as possible, if she has to die to get a kill, it's not really that big a deal. She's one of those champs where that's usually an exchange that you're happy to make, just because you want her to get gold and you want her to keep snowballing ahead. We may see Vile Rose getting caught here, though. Going to get hit with a Dark Binding. The Dredge line is going to come out as well, and that's a little bit careless there. Maybe just not paying quite enough attention. He probably could have dodged that binding, but may have just been looking somewhere else on the monitor, and that's really unfortunate. That's the 4th death for Cassiopeia. There actually is some action in bottom lane as well, but Cop is going to be able to get out of there. With a little bit of help from Elements. He was quite low, but does manage to get out. Still, he will be forced away from farming. So anyway, again, the biggest issue in this game, Nijaki 302 for Curse. Meanwhile, Vile Rose is 0-for-0 for Mono. And again, that middle lane has just really been the problem so far in this game for Mono.
Very interestingly enough, once again, we see Nijaki in this top lane. St. Vicious, meanwhile, is just going to be sitting around here. Ooh, he is going to walk into a bush with a ward there, but a flash forward and a depth charge coming out. Now a dredge line behind this tower. There are 3 members of Curse. Dark Binding does not hit, but Akali's Shadow Dash is going to be able to catch back up. Morgana's ultimate's going to go down just in case. Xhazard decides he's not going to be able to get out of there. Tries to take down Nautilus with him, but unfortunately not going to be enough. And now this Akali and this Morgana pick really starting to do damage to Team MonoManiac. Like you said, that Morgana is very, very far ahead, being 3-0-3. Akali at 3-2-1, being the one to pick up the kills. She's finished her Hextech Gunblade sub 20 minutes right now, so Akali is in a very, very good position. She, of course, is going to be dealing 2 different types of damage with her twin passives as well. Going to be proccing magic damage on her auto attacks in addition to magic damage from her spells. And then her auto attacks, of course, still going to be packing a punch at 149 AD. So even though Aurelia has built up a Wit's End and Mercury charge against her, still not being able to negate all the different kinds of damage Akali can do in that top lane. And she's really starting to pull ahead. Like I said, 3 kills apiece on her and Morgana. Curse is exactly where they want to be at this stage in the game.
And what that last little dive showed, and that was a very aggressive dive way behind the tower, what that really shows is why Nautilus is so prized in these games. That was all set up by the Nautilus ultimate. Otherwise, there was no way that that turns into a kill, but they use the Nautilus ultimate, they get that knock up, and that allows Westrice to go in with his Shadow Dash, and they're actually looking to dive Hazard once again here with another 3-man. He is not having a fun game, so yeah, here it goes again.
Yeah, once again, Nautilus lands a dredge line. Nijaki's coming in on Morgana. Westrice is going to finish off the job with Akali, and another kill is going to be going over there. Kind of funny, right before that gank, we saw that Westrice is hiding in a bush, and the ward had not been cleared out there by St. Vicious, so a minion kind of went up and high-fived him in the face, and Aurelia thought that she was a little bit hip to what was going on. Unfortunately, did not see the Nautilus and Morgana coming up from behind them, so once again, they're going to take down a kill, take down this top tower. Westrice currently 4-2-1 with 148 CS compared to Aurelia, who is 1-4-1, falling behind by about 25 CS on 124. Now St. Vicious not going to let up this aggression. Elements comes in with a headbutt pulverize after the dredge line lands on Janna. Westrice is going to continue to go on here, gets pounded by a paralyzing gaze in tower range though, getting extremely low. Nijaki's going to follow up with a Morgana ultimate. It is going to land on Cassiopeia. Spell shield low there by Nocturne. Nocturne tries to go down onto the very low. Westrice will not succeed and actually dies. Nijaki in the meantime realizes that he was the only one there against Cassiopeia, picks up a kill, and walks out from behind the enemy tower and in between the other enemy tower inside the base without dying at all. Now Elements is going to headbutt away Aurelia. Xhazard, and like you said, not having a very fun time and now being pushed around even by Alistar. That is 2 kills picked up there for Curse and none for MonoManiac. And Curse currently 10 kills to 3 ahead. Looking at the goal counts, 33.2k to 26.6k. Ahead a tower, ahead in the game, and ahead in all the places they want to be, Sala.
Curse made a really aggressive play there. They sent 5 mid, and that's something that you don't normally see this early in the game. 22 minutes, they just grouped with all 5 of their champs, just abandoned bottom lane for the moment, just sent their bottom up to mid along with their other 3 champs, and just really dove that tower, and it worked out quite well for them. Varro's got off a nice Cassiopeia ult. It almost turned into a kill on Westrice, but again, just the fact that they had the advantage in numbers and the fact that they were ahead was why they ended up winning that fight. It did cost them mid tower, and now we're going to have a dragon fight here, though. But Curse is certainly snowballing their way ahead in the game right now.
Shirelia's Reverie is popping. A very nice Howling Gale from Janna will halt any aggression from Elements and St. Vicious. They're not able to go in there and steal the dragon, so MonoManiac is going to come ahead by picking up a dragon kill, closing the goal cap even more. Unfortunately, Xhazard caught between a rock and a hard place. Corky Valkyrie's over the wall. Elements on Alistar is going to be given the chase from behind. Xhazard is going to try to wind up killing himself on minions here. Is Corky Rocket going to connect? It is not. So it looks like Aurelia is going to be able to get away here and just wind up dying to the tower. Ooh, flash from Corky. No rockets landing, but Westrice recalled and picks up the kill with Akali all the way from the Summoner's platform. So, whew, that was just, like you said, Xhazard's having just bad luck in this game right now.
Oh, that's got to be the worst. He runs all the way into the base, and just when he thinks he's going to get the suicide with no kill credit given, Westrice has recalled and just runs out from the summoning platform and finishes him off with 1 hit. That's got to feel bad. The dragon definitely will help Mono a bit there. It's just, unfortunately, their mid and their top are really weak. It started out with mid being weak. Their top was doing fine. It's just that because mid was losing, mid and jungle went top and just kept 3-man diving over and over again. And again, now they're hitting the point in time where they're just going to be too weak to win these fights, as we see Westrice really diving deep on this particular kill, but not going to be able to get that one on Lexfink. I do want to mention Patoy, the Janna player for Mono, has had some really nice disengages, has used Tornado, has used Janna ult, has avoided dying thus far with that Oracle, and Curse has actually been trying to kill Janna to get rid of that Oracle in these last couple fights, but has had some nice disengages thus far. Unfortunately, it hasn't been quite enough in order to turn these team fights, but still has been playing pretty well, all things considered.
Ooh, we see a Shirelius popped over here by St. Vicious' Nautilus. They wanted to go in onto Vile versus Cassiopeia, but are not able to get a good engage. A nice pool was laid down, and Morgana did not want to walk through it, getting slowed and potentially delaying the gank. Was unable to land a Dark Binding, so Vile Rose will get out of this one. Now we have pings going on over by Baron. Like you said, both teams have an Oracle's Elixir. They keep denying each other's vision. St. Vicious is going to go in here, place a ward over the wall, and wind up finding the ward from MonoManiacs. So now they know that 4 members of Curse, 5 now as Morgana moves in from the mid lane as well, are just kind of floating over by Baron. Are they going to be piqued in interest to see if they're going to continue doing this? Janna does place a ward over the wall, and they see that no one is there, so they are going to get the back off from the mid lane area, as they know it is a little bit of a bait. Curse being as aggressive as they have been this entire game. If MonoManiac is caught anywhere near that Baron while they are actually not doing it, that is almost certainly going to be an engage from Curse and potentially a lot of kills if MonoManiac is not moving as an entire unit of 5. So very dangerous position right now. The next big fight is going to be over this Baron, if not by the Baron area in and of itself. And MonoManiac, they are behind in this game right now, are going to have to play it extremely smart, otherwise it could be lights out for them in game number 1.
Curse probably not going to do this Baron right now, at least, unless they can get a kill or unless they can see that there's no ward there right now. The reason why they want to bait the Baron is they want to make it so that Mono can't continue farming. And Curse knows that they're ahead in this match right now, so they want to make it. They want to keep forcing team fights while they have the advantage. They don't want to let Mono go back to lanes and keep farming, which is what Mono wants to do. When you're behind like this, you want to be able to sit back and farm, but Curse is going to keep baiting this Baron, forcing them to keep people around the Baron pit so that they can't go and farm, say, that bottom lane or that middle lane. So they'll just try to keep pressure here, try to force a team fight, try to draw Mono out away from the rest of their base. And we'll see if they actually go for this. They may or may not. Yeah, it's just going to depend on what Mono does. Mono is likely going to ward this. We'll see if Curse can get this down. They are doing the Baron right now.
There's a ward over the wall. Oh, wow. Westrace going in on Akali, pops the Janna ultimate and everything. He is actually... Ooh, a pink ward comes down from Ixhazard. So Westrace is in trouble right here. Rest of Curse still over by Baron. Noxtron will pick up a kill over there, so Westrace is currently down for this fight, and now Curse is going to be the one on the retreat. Down a member, they can't really contest this Baron or even fake it. They're going for it right now. So that was actually a very clutch kill for MonoManiac.
That was extremely well played by Patoy. Again, the Janna player, to avoid dying there was really well done. He saves the Oracle, he gets Westrice baited into a bad fight, and the use of that pink ward so that Westrice as a Akali can't hide in the Twilight Shroud, really, really nicely played there. The entire team for Mono just congregates onto Westrice, and again, he's not invisible when that pink ward is sitting there, so they just burst him down. So that's really nice. It relieved the Baron pressure. It's going to get them top tower here as well, most likely, assuming that Hazard finishes it off. So that's going to help them quite a bit. They also did end, I believe they did end a killing spree on Westrice as well, so they got a nice little amount of gold. So they've closed this down to about a 3,500 gold lead. That's still significant for Curse, but they pulled back a good something along the lines of about 1,000 gold, I think, off as a result of that play. So that's a pretty nice one. We will see Curse looks like they are going to go back to what they were doing before, keeping the pressure on Baron. So we'll see Curse is right now is still stronger in a team fight, but if they take too much damage from Baron, they might find themselves on the losing end of a team fight. So we will see. This is a very aggressive play by Curse here.
And we're going to see, does Akali do another aggressive play over the wall and potentially go to her own death, or is she going to play a little bit smarter? Like you said, Baron damage already. St. Vicious about 3/4 health. Elements in the meantime at about half health right here. So even if they do get engaged on in a team fight right here, Curse is not exactly 100% going into this next fight. So they're going to have to be very careful about being as aggressive as they have been in the past of this game. We do, however, see Akali has a Giant's Belt and a needlessly large drive. She had those items before when she suicided to her death. Going to be a lot more effective if she's able to fight with the rest of her team in this one, though, especially with Nijaki here on Morgana already picking up his Zanya's Hourglass in addition to that Abyssal Scepter we talked about earlier on in the game. He's going to have all the different kinds of items he needs to really, really make that ultimate on him super effective. So we're going to have to see how Curse plays this one out right now. Continuing to walk around the map. St. Vicious has not lost his Oracles. Meanwhile, you said Patoy on Janna from the other set from MonoManiac has not lost their Oracles Elixir either. So both these teams going to continue placing wards. wards and denying each other wards and playing just an overall map control and vision game. But throughout all of this, you know, Curse is constantly going back and forth right here. They really are contesting this Baron area in mid lane, but in the meantime, Don't Mash needs to be able to go down to the bottom lane and farm up a little bit, as well as Violet Rose on Cassiopeia being able to catch up a little bit in CS, even though, you know, he is at a great disadvantage compared to Morgana right now, 182 on Cassiopeia. He's still going to be able to finish up a couple items, has a Hextech Revolver and an Abyssal Scepter off of this. So MonoManiac, like you said, they're still down by about 3,500 gold, but they are continuing to farm up their champions and try to keep the course with Curse at this point in time, so they're not necessarily in a terrible position right now. Curse is going to keep running back and forth to try to deny vision, potentially go for a Dragon down here, but Dragon or Baron fights at this point in time could potentially mean one or the other. If Curse goes for a Dragon, MonoManiac can go for a Baron in response, and they're going to be caught completely out of position.
Mono might get caught here by Baron. We'll see. It looks like they're just going to clear out the ward and then skedaddle out of there to the north side of the Baron pit. Curse probably can go get that Dragon if they want to. They're just worried that they might lose Baron if they get caught down there at the Dragon. So we see this a lot of the times in close games. The game kind of stalls out and can be a little bit tedious sometimes. These teams are just sort of baiting each other back and forth. Again, the reason for this is they realize that if they screw up one of these fights and the other team gets Baron, that they stand a really good chance of losing the match. If Mono loses a fight and Curse gets Baron, the match will almost be over for all intents and purposes. If that would happen. So they're just being really, really cautious right now on both sides, and that's why we see these warding wars back and forth. So I mean, it's definitely a little tedious sometimes, but again, it's just the teams are really worried about making a mistake and somebody getting caught, and oftentimes that is how these end up getting broken. Just somebody gets caught out of position, and that's that. As far as the sort of relative strengths, the ADs for both teams are very even. Right now, Graves is slightly ahead because he has finished his Phantom Dancer, while Corki is still just sitting on that Zeal. He does have the cloak right there, so he's close to getting that Phantom Dancer. But for right now, Graves is slightly ahead. Still, it's pretty even. The top laners also relatively even. Akali is ahead of Irelia, but not hugely so, just ahead by a decent margin. Again, the biggest difference is that middle lane. Nijaki's Morgana 405 against Vile Rose's 050. And again, Morgana having that Zanya's Hourglass is really, really going to make her dangerous because she just can't be focused in the team fights. So that's really the biggest problem. Looks like we are going to have a little engage over this blue buff here. And again, Curse is trying to build their lead by, you know, taking Dragon, trying to invade and take these buffs. So we'll see if Mono chooses to contest this or just goes ahead and gives this up to Curse. Looks like they just went ahead and gave up that blue buff.
And then they could potentially be getting up this Dragon as well. Interestingly enough, Corki did wind up getting his own team's red buff, and he also has a green pot on him, whereas Don't Mash Bees Graze, no red buff on him, but he does have a red pot. So a little bit extra HP on one, a little bit more damage and attack speed on the other. Taking a quick look at the items, actually MonoManiac over here with Nocturne does have an Aegis of the Legion, whereas taking a quick look at the support and the jungler from Curse, there is no Aegis of the Legion for them. So a little bit of statistic buffs on MonoManiac's side, but one thing that Curse does have that MonoManiac does not is the Frozen Heart on Nautilus. So if we get into an engagement, you know, there are pluses and minuses for both sides, no matter what is going to happen, but it is going to come down probably to the next big team fight, whether it's over that Baron buff or something like that, a global objective on the map, or if it's over by this tower over here. Both teams are going to be in a very, very interesting spot regardless. Of course, Curse right now, a little bit of the better poke on their team. Of course, they have Cassiopeia and Nocturne on the other side for a little bit more of the Q poke, but they do have Corki, who is one of the best poking champions in the game, in addition to Morgana with the Pool and Dark Binding, continuously going to be able to poke and clear out minion waves before they even leave this tower area. So Curse now going with the contesting from Baron and contesting Vision to the laying siege to the defenses of MonoManiac. So, like you said, very interestingly enough, how these games kind of start to stall out at this point, but one decision by one team could really affect the entire outcome of the rest of this game. So both teams want to be extremely cautious right here.
Yeah, Curse is trying to catch somebody with a Morgana Binding. That's really going to be the signal for them to initiate either a Morgana Binding or a Nautilus Dredge line. That's what they're looking for right here. Other than that, they're just kind of poking away at this tower. It's a little bit dangerous. I mean, their lead is not so big that they can just afford to dive this tower, because they could lose their lead if they screw up a fight here. In particular, if they get caught by a Cassiopeia ultimate. So they have to be very careful about how they do this. They could also potentially flash Pulverize with Alistar too.
And we did have Aurelia blowing her own ultimate to clear creeps off the tower. It looks like MonoManiac is going to back up and concede this tower to Curse. Curse now with a little bit further push into MonoManiac's side of the map, has a little bit more map presence. They do see them going immediately towards MonoManiac's red buff, going to deny them any excess resources on the map. MonoManiac is only going to be able to push out their middle lane after this one. Curse looping all the way around over here, except for Cop. Cop's going towards the bottom lane right here. So if MonoManiac's able to identify that the AD is gone, now revealing himself, clearing out this bottom lane, they could potentially be an engagement here from MonoManiac. They could try to contest this Baron buff regardless of what's going on. It is currently a 5 versus 4 in this area. Janna is going to get caught here with a Dark Binding. Almost half of her HP gone between that and the Tormented Soil. MonoManiac, though, denying vision of these wards. Cop is coming up from the bottom lane, so MonoManiac is now looking to just kind of loop back around by Baron. And once again, no one wants to be caught out of position right here because it could mean certain death for either side. Like you mentioned before, if Curse takes the certain death on MonoManiac, the game is all but over at that shot. If MonoManiac takes a certain death on Curse, then Curse is all of a sudden on the back foot after being so much ahead in this game for the up until this point. But people just recalling, rewarding up, and once again, playing it safe and playing it a little bit stale in this game right here, but you can't really fault them for what's so much at stake in these games too. Even though it's game number 1 right now, neither team wants to be the one losing 0-1 and going into a deciding game number 2.
No, the team that loses game 1, I think, or the team that wins game 1, I think wins something like 70 to 80% of the time in the overall match in a best of 3. So it is very significant. Right there, everybody just decided to back off. They were all sitting on a lot of gold because both teams had been out away from their bases for a while. So you see a number of items coming in on both sides, like the Quicksilver Sash on Graves and the finishing of the Phantom Dancer on Corky, and looks like we got a Death Cap on Akali. So a lot of items getting completed because people were sitting on a lot of gold. Anyway, Curse, even though there hasn't been a lot of action, Curse has been doing a nice job. If you've noticed, they've been taking all the global objectives. They went and invaded and took Mono's blue buff. They went and took Dragon, and they went and took Mono's red buff. So they're doing a good job of grabbing what they can on the map. They did get an extra tower in mid too. So they're not doing this particularly fast, but they are sort of slowly building their advantage. They've got it up to 7,000 gold right now. So they're sort of very slowly building an advantage. And most likely they'll look to, we'll see. I don't think that they can just push straight into the base of Mono now without catching someone, but we'll see if they make a play for that tower in bottom lane or one of the or that tower in top. But I would expect them to keep doing the same thing, trying to slowly build their advantage and trying to catch someone.
Ooh, they almost caught Graves over the dredge line, but is able to quick draw away. There's going to be a Dark Binding and a Tormented Soul going on to Nocturne, so continuing to poke and prod, harass away on these champions. You could potentially see Curse once again laying siege to the middle tower of MonoManiac. If MonoManiac is going to decide to engage on this one being the inhibitor turret or back off and let Curse have it, is going to just be decision of that. We did see poking going on for almost a full minute and a half before, so this could be a little bit of a while before we get a lot of action going on here. But like you said, Curse, they don't seem like they're doing too much, but they are slowly garnering their advantages for them, continuing to push down into MonoManiac, giving them into a defensive posture. There was a dredge line there, Onyx Hazard, but like you said, Patoy and Janna doing a great job of disengaging for his team. Howling Gale knocking Nautilus up into the air, did not let the dredge line pull him all the way to Aurelia, so the rest of the team is not able to follow up for an engage right there. Curse continuing to do, as you mentioned before, Sola, denying any sort of resources to MonoManiac, going in here and taking away the blue buff. MonoManiac's going to take a little bit of chance to go in here and start clearing out wards, maybe warding up for their own and pushing out that lane a little bit, but constantly pushing and pulling, giving up one thing, taking another thing from both teams right here. And Curse still in the driver's seat for this one. MonoManiac, as you see right here, continuing to huddle around their base, only moving out as a group, being very cautious to do so, checking bushes and everything with wards and skills and abilities. They don't want to be caught right here. Curse is the one putting them in a defensive position, and if they try to be aggressive and really bite off more than they can chew, it is a game lost for them. So moving very, very cautiously. Curse in the meantime as well, continuing to stay grouped up, because even though they're ahead, if one of them gets caught out of position, that is a Baron attempt for MonoManiac. That is an attempt for them to get back in the game, and Curse does not even want to budge an inch on this advantage, Sala.
I'm not sure I've ever seen one Oracle clear as many wards as St. Vicious had in this game. He's had it literally since like the 10-minute mark, and they have cleared so many wards with this. Anyway, Curse is trying to bait out a fight right here. Oh, they're gonna not hit on another binding there, so no action, unfortunately. If I'm Curse, though, I would not try to dive that middle tower. I feel like that's an impatience play if they go for that. What they're doing is frustrating for them, I'm sure. I know that they want to force a fight right now. Mono is doing a good job of not giving them an engagement, because they would likely lose it. So as frustrating as it might be, Curse does need to keep being patient here, and eventually they will catch someone with a binding or a dredge line or a flash pulverize or whatever, something. They need to just keep baiting this Baron and keep pressure on it. It looks like they're finally going to go for it right now, but I believe Janna does have another ward, so we may finally see some action here.
Nope, there's a ward over the wall. They realize that Curse is going to be doing this. Curse, once again, going to clear out the wards, and there is going to be no big major team fight, although there is a little bit of skills being thrown back and forth. Looks like they are going to continue to try to pressure this Baron and pressure MonoManiac, going ever closer into those range of those Dark Bindings. Nocturne still in mid lane, is in ultimate range. Of course, a Dredge line barely misses an engagement there onto MonoManiac. And Curse right now getting their own resources, making sure that MonoManiac isn't able to take those global objectives to try to get themselves back into this one. MonoManiac giving themselves some own breathing room right here as the minions have pushed all the way down into Curse's side of the map. So now MonoManiac is the one that has a little bit of an advantage over here and is pushing Curse onto defensive. This could be where Curse decides to get aggressive once again and push their advantage. Shrelius popped defensively right there from Janna in order to get her team out of trouble and out of a bad positioning area. Now, if I were Curse, continuing to float around Baron over here is a great idea. Like you said, eventually they're going to catch someone out of position with a Dark Binding or a Dredge line or something. But I would also kind of try to concentrate my fire onto these two towers that are left exposed. Actually, two in the bottom lane and one in the top lane. By staying in top lane, you are still close enough to contest this Baron, but they have a lot more poking power on the outer turrets rather than trying to poke against MonoManiac in their own base. Right now, actually getting Baron very low. The Sirelius pop. There's the Dredge line they've been waiting for. Going on to X-Hazard's Aurelia, picking up a kill. Akali is going to secure that one, so Westray's getting another kill in this game. Baron actually not even be able to regenerate his HP. They got that kill and went back there so fast. Curse, that was the initiation they were waiting for. Graves cannot steal that with an ultimate over the wall. Nocturne flashing in way too late as Lexving is going to die. Two cops Corki right there. So there was the two kills that Curse needed, breaking the silence, going on the aggressive with the Baron buff. Now this game is all but theirs to push out into the mid late now.
No, the floodgates finally open after minutes and minutes on end of waiting and waiting. What set that up was neither team had any wards left, and Janna actually had about 7 or 8 wards, but actually used every single one of them. And then once all the wards were gone, Curse just started Baron, and that was one time where Mono did not have vision, and so they just had to face check, and X-Hazard was the one to face check, and you saw what the results were. He got caught. There was a flash initiate from St. Vicious. It caught him, and that finished him off, and then they were able to turn that into Baron. Unfortunately, Lexvink had to dive into the Baron pit blind again because they didn't have wards, and he was about a second late. When he got in there, it was already dead, and he found himself meeting 5 members of Curse with Baron buff, and that's not a good place for Nocturne to be. So,
no.
yeah, Curse now has seized definitive control of this game. We'll see if Mono's going to have to catch Curse making some kind of big mistake at this point, because it's now snowballed out to a 10k gold lead, and they will still have Baron for about 3 more minutes. So that's a pretty big edge. So we'll see where Curse chooses to go with it. They've already gotten middle tower and inhibitor, and they grabbed another tower on top. So right now, Curse is going to dictate the action, and we're just going to see where they go from here.
The aggressive nature of Curse only has me thinking that bottom lane is the next target. There's still 2 towers up in there. I can only imagine that frustrates the members of Curse. So potentially, as we do see here, Corki and Morgana with Nautilus support going immediately into the bottom lane. Akali's going to walk through the jungle over here, potentially see if there's any minions for her to pick up kills on there. Akali already, like you mentioned, Death Cap before, picks up a Null Magic Mantle in addition to her Giant spell. So maybe actually what we see here, Chain Vest as well. So she is going to be going for a Guardian Angel. That is probably the next item. Ooh, MonoManiac picking up a Dragon right here. Going a little aggressive knowing that Curse went back even though their mid lane is pushed out. But as we said before, with that inhibitor down, that is a naturally pushing mid lane for Curse. They don't have to worry about that too much right now. And as I said before, angry at the fact that towers are alive on the map, Curse immediately goes into the bottom lane. Even popping the Shirelius to try to contest this blue buff here. Unable to deny that one from Vile Rose's Cassiopeia, but still, 5 members of Curse living strong on the bot lane. This tower cannot be up here for very much longer. Patoa, you haven't died yet, and I suggest getting out of there if you want to keep it that way with that Oracle's Elixir. Giving up 2 towers on bottom lane to this Baron buff from Curse right now. Potentially pushing in straight through the bottom lane with the mid lane. This could be the last stand for MonoManiac Esports right now. There we go. There's an engagement going down. Dark Binding whiffs on absolutely everybody. St. Vicious in the front, taking a tower shot or 2, but no engagement from him has gone down yet. Cop continuing to poke away on the tower right here. It is shielded by Patoy. Try to mitigate some of the damage being dealt by Corki, but now once again in the poke war, Q's are flying on both sides right now, and it is all up to Curse to get that golden engagement they got by Baron again to try to go in on this tower.
Well, at this point, they can just dive. Mono's going to have to make a stand here soon, or they're just going to lose all 3 inhibs, and then the super minions will just end the game. Mono's going to have to pick a fight. They're almost certainly not going to win it, but they're going to have to try, or they're just going to lose all their inhibs here really soon.
Oh, looks like there are minions taking the tower, so there's going to be enough. Elements going in already. Does not get any headbutt or pulverize off, though, just taking damage. Nocturne popping an ultimate. Looked like he wanted to try to dive on an AD for MonoManiac to go in there, but the rest of MonoManiac not on the same page. They decide to pop the Nocturne ultimate, but not go in on it. So Nocturne ultimate is down. Alistar did go in there. Don't know if Elements is actually baiting there or not, but he actually did not use any skills besides his heal. So he just kind of walked in, threatened the headbutt pulverize combo, and actually popped the Nocturne ultimate on that one. So pretty good idea from Curse there. Now just kind of poking and prodding. There's the dredge line onto Graze. There follows up all the skills. Depth charge, pulverize, headbutts, everything going up. Very nice reposition from the ultimate there. Cassiopeia ultimate lands on Elements, but he did pop the ultimate, so he's not taking too much damage right there. Continuing to harass down. Morgana's going to get a Dark Binding and a Tormented Soil down, but the objective has been met. Curse scares MonoManiac off of their inhibitor, picks that one up, and now rotating top. The only remaining tower that is not next to the Nexus for MonoManiac on the map is Curse's in Curse sights right now. Ooh, Dark Binding goes down. Spell Shield does not land on that one. Continuing going. Headbutt Pulverize goes down on two members of MonoManiac right there. Looks like Shirelias are being popped right here. X-Hazard is going to try to get damage down on Cop. Cop gets extremely low. Westray's going in a little too deep as Curse is trying to reposition. Nocturne picks up a kill there. Now St. Vicious dredge line to try to get away, but there's a Shirelias pop by MonoManiac picking up a kill onto Nautilus right there. Baron buff had expired for Curse. Elements now kind of caught out of position right here with an Equilibrium strike. Continuing to go down. Headbutts away Aurelia, but the poison damage from Cassiopeia, the aggression from Aurelia, going to wind up picking up a kill there as well. So they lose an inhibitor. Of course, that is never a bad thing. They also lost, or never a good thing. They lost the tower on top of the cell, but MonoManiac picks up 3 kills on Curse and gives himself a teeny bit of breathing room. I don't know. If I were MonoManiac, I might have lost my inhibitor, but I probably couldn't have expected that to go any better for me.
No, not really. That's going to keep them in the game for the time being, at least. And they got a really nice fight there. To be honest, in the fight under their own inhibitor in bottom lane, I thought Mono played that pretty well. They were able to disengage and get every single champion out of there. The fact that they lost their inhib there was mostly just a matter of the fact that they were so far behind before the fight even started. They actually fought tactically pretty well. And then they went back to the fountain. They went ahead and healed and regrouped. And when they were able to go back and force that initiation again when they were all full health and full mana from getting the heal at the fountain end. Westrice, like you said, just got a little bit too aggressive, dove a little bit too deep. Again, he's next to Janna, so Janna's still got that Oracle, but Toy still has not died in this game, so he is visible in that Twilight Shroud. Ended up getting bursted down, and then it was a nice chase that managed to get the 2 real tanks on the team, St. Vicious and Elements, and finish them off as well. So the good news is Mono's middle inhib has respawned. They've only got 1 inhib down right now, which is pretty playable. So when the second inhib goes down, that you're really in trouble. As long as 1's down, you're not in such bad shape. Now the downside is they have lost 8 towers. They only have their 2 Nexus turrets and the tower in top. But they're still in this game, and Baron is now off of Curse. So if Curse screws up a fight, now they're going to fight over this inhib. If Curse screws this up, then Mono might have a chance to get back in it. So we'll see what happens. But it's going to come down to this fight for this inhib.
And we do see in here, it looks like a smite goes off. Ooh, Dark Binding lands on X-Hazard. That wanted to be initiation, but it's not. X-Hazard going to go back in there. Morgana ultimate goes on everybody. Only going to land onto Cassiopeia, though, as Nocturne does decide to go down, diving on the Cop. X-Hazard takes a lot of damage. Zajaki has to pop the Zanya to stay alive. John with the ultimate, saving Graze. Graze doing a lot of damage to Akali over here. We do see that, meanwhile, Corki is going to take down Nocturne over there. Akali is able to flash over the wall and stay alive. So Curse getting a kill, getting an inhibitor, now potentially rotating top once again. That went in their favor this time, as MonoManiac was not able to pull that one from behind right just now. They're going to pick up a tower here, but MonoManiac in their own base has the advantage of going back to heal and contest this top inhibitor. So losing a kill in the mid lane, losing that second inhibitor, like you said, that's going to put them a little bit far behind, exposing this top tower as top inhibitor as well. And now Curse, even though they got 3 for 0 and took an inhibitor before, comes right back with the aggression, winds up taking down that middle inhibitor, takes out a kill on top of this, and immediately going over to this Baron buff. And this probably is going to go in favor of Curse. MonoManiac is going to try to contest it, but I don't know if it's just going to be enough from them, Sola.
Well, they're losing their base as this goes on as well. It looks like they're just probably going to be snowballed out of this game regardless, and the Baron is taken by Curse. Hazard is going to fall right there, and it looks like this is the beginning of the end. Flash Pulverized from Elements, a great binding from Nijaki and Westrace polishes it off there at the end. That last fight by the inhib, again, it was so close to being a great fight for Mono. Nijaki was on 10% HP when he popped his Zanyas. Westrice actually got super low, but he did not end up dying. He actually did have the Guardian Angel, so it looks like he wouldn't have died anyway. But really close. They almost were able to take that fight, but weren't able to. And then there at the end, the super minions were destroying their base anyway, so it didn't matter. Even if they got Baron, that was over. So Curse just snowballed him out of the game, especially when they took that Baron. So nice game. Let's see what we get in game 2 here.
Yes, indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was game number 1 only of Curse versus MonoManiacs Esports. I think that was well worth the wait after the DDoSs on Curse. What about you, Saul?
It was a great match. It was pretty close. Curse got a minor lead, and then they just kept adding a little bit, adding a little bit. We had that really long stalemate, which Curse finally broke. And then we could see once they got that Baron, the floodgates opened up, and they were able to take it from there. But it was a good match. Pretty long, but a good match. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams come up with in game number 2.
Yes, indeed. And so am I, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into the lobby for game number 2 in just a moment. But for now, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. This is going to be game number 2, IPL Face Off qualifiers. Curse North America up 1 game over MonoManiacs Esports. Are they going to take game number 2, or is MonoManiac going to grind themselves back into this to force the deciding game 3? Only way to find out is to stay tuned and watch this awesome, awesome match.